Hello. Thank you for taking the time to listen. And my name is Anna. Welcome to the very first episode of The Scarlet Lettered Alcoholic. I will preface this with I am not a doctor, I'm not your therapist. I am just another person that discovered that I had a problem and I wanted to be willing to fix it. And I found other people that were like minded in that. And we call it working a program of recovery. And I wanted to talk about what that means because I think in today's society, it's very stigmatized, and I think that's kind of why I'm here. I'm here to educate people because this is something that I think stays in a lot of people's closets. Um, and I think the term recovery or an addict or trauma is very stigmatized these days. And people are scared to be vulnerable and scared to be honest about it. And I'm kind of here to do that, hopefully. And hopefully it'll give you guys some strength and maybe you'll find that you hear something that you like and it helps you in some way. And if not, you can listen to another podcast too. Anyways, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about basically what recovery is for me and what that truly means. And I've spent a lot of my time trying to understand myself and not really looking around as, oh, what happened to me? I come from a background of childhood trauma. I was sexually abused, and that was something I always carried with me, like as a victim mentality. So I basically had the foundation for being an alcoholic before I even knew I was one. Um, and so I've done a lot of research in my recovery because I wanted to understand what it is that I was doing. Otherwise, why was I doing it? And this is absolutely from the dictionary. And it's basically the definition of what recovery is from our dictionary. And the first, it gives us two examples. The first one is a return to normal state of health, mind, or strength. And the second one is the action or process of regaining possession or control of something stolen or lost. And some similar words that we use to somewhat describe a form of recovery that are listed are renewal, revival, comeback, rally, improvement, healing, rehabilitation, recuperation. Um, those are, just a couple. Redemption. That's a great one. Ah, I love that. But there's about over 30 different words that are similar to the word recovery or correlate around the same thing. And there are only three words listed in the dictionary that describe the opposite of recovery. And those are relapse, deterioration, and loss. And when I read that, quite frankly, it broke my heart all over again because I experienced in my mind everything that I had lost in the course of, you know, falling into my rabbit hole. And I lost a lot. Uh, and now today, I realized that I had to lose that stuff to gain what I have now. Because I was never really working for it. I was just barely surviving. I was just barely living. Um, and then when I decided to be willing to do something different after, many trials and errors. And I decided to be willing, and I really was able to design my recovery and dig deep and open up those wounds that never healed the right way. They were just it was really bad scarring, like just it wasn't healthy. And so I had to go back and reopen those wounds so I could heal them properly. And that is why I say I live in recovery today, because I have to choose that every day. There are things that come up, no matter what situation we're in life. There are things that come up every single day that we are having to make a decision on, or make a choice. And a lot of times that affects other people's lives. That choice that we're making, it's going to always more than likely have a ripple effect. And I remember that I'm a better person today when I'm living with a clear head and healed wounds, because I found strength in those pains of those wounds, those open wounds. That's where I found my strength. And if I had no scars and I experienced no pain, then I wouldn't understand the victory that I have today. Um, and it's a pretty gratifying place to be that's not monetary, like no amount of money could ever add up to what I feel daily, because I've healed the things that hurt me. And so I don't have to live in that hurt every day anymore. And I don't have to search for something to numb it. And it's just a really beautiful thing. And I'm able to have gratitude for the simplest things. And in turn, I've lost a whole hell of a lot of people, like, that just either weren't supportive or were there to watch me fail or fall, and got some pleasure in that. Um, and those people were toxic to my success in recovery. I learned that really fast. Um, I learned that I needed people in my life that were now willing to not pave the way for me in recovery, but just hold my hand through it and tell me it's going to be okay. You know, uh, I had a few seats at my table and I kept it small. There's very few people that I trusted early on in my journey, and it was because I couldn't afford the toxicity of anything but positive energy, because those first few days and weeks and months even, was a constant struggle, not within the outside world, but within the world going on in my head. And I think that's why I really resonated with the definition of recovery, because a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. Like, those moments like when you feel defeated, and like, or those moments of grief or loss, and that complete anguish. You have to recover from that, right? You don't you don't wish to live there forever. Um, so I think, in a sense, all of us are in recovery from something. And I think when we choose to look at it in that sense, I think that we can easily understand where our judgment on others that are working hard to get to that place of recovery, um, is a little extreme. We don't offer the same compassion that we offer ourselves when we're recovering from a death. You know, that's just a long term form of grief, by the way. It's just a really long term form of grief. Might not have lost a person, but I've seen people become alcoholics over the loss of a job. Um, I've seen people become alcoholics for nothing besides they like the social scene because that's the only place they felt they belong. And now I can pretty much say that I have a friend in almost every state of the US because I work a really daily program, not perfect, but I choose to live a life in recovery today. Um, and it's so much more than not picking up a drink or a drug. It's a mindset. It really is. It's a mindset that, you get to choose the music that you listen to, the TV shows that you watch, the things that are influencing you, the outside, sources of influence that can shift us. Um, a bad day at work can bring a bad day home too. Recovering from your work day, walking in the door and taking that 10 minutes before, you get into the swing of like whatever your role is at home so that you can recenter and refocus where your priorities are in that very moment. That's recovery. 10 minutes, that's recovery. It's so much bigger. um, and I just love that there are so many people that are willing to want to do better for themselves. I see people walk in the doors of these rooms that offer support, and they come broken, and usually, like me, they come with no eyebrows on. Um, and then within like 30 days, that fog it starts to clear, and there's a light that kind of starts coming back within you, and you kind of start to see colors again for like actual true blues, like when you see a blue sky. I'll rem- I remember actually looking at a bird once, like the first few like weeks into my sobriety, and just watching the damn bird with these twiggy little legs, just you know, and it was like my mind started wandering. How can this fat freaking bird? I mean, the logic there, the physics doesn't make sense. If you've ever really looked at a bird, the physics does not make sense. They're these just big bodied creatures, and then, it's just little twiggy legs. Like, I don't get it. But this bird was just so freaking awesome. And I just sat there staring at this bird. And I probably, now that I think about that, looks absolutely insane to my neighbors, probably. Sorry. But it was just like I could appreciate that little moment. And I didn't need to pull out my phone and take a picture. Like I just sat there and I just watched this damn bird. Didn't understand the physics, but I just watched this damn bird. And I was just in awe. A little bird. And I went to bed grateful that night. Was for that little moment. I thought that that moment was just made for me. Just for me. Um, and then I had to remember, like, that was just one moment in a day. I can live my whole entire day like that. And then the next day, and the next day, if I choose to. And that realization was just absolutely mind blowing. It was like the, you know, I just like needed the light bulb, that light bulb moment, the aha, the hit over the head. It was just like the light switch was turned on in that moment. and I decided that I was gonna get out of my own way. And so, like, whenever I felt a little bit in my own head, which was a lot, I picked up the phone and I would really randomly call people that I knew, um, that were, kind of in the same boat. We would just talk about TV shows or like, oh my God, do you notice how many TV shows are there people are drinking on? And it's like, we'll talk for half an hour on that topic because all of a sudden it's relatable, and then you realize that you aren't the only one that's thinking that way and you're not crazy and you're not stupid for thinking that way. And the fact that you want to change that and refocus your life is something that should be looked at as a courageous effort, I think. So, for all of you, like in your first weeks or months or days, um, from experience, just reach out, ask for help. It's the first step to the rest of your life. I can promise you that. My background, I come from, you know, a place of I did inpatient, intensive outpatient, and then outpatient. So I've tried it all, and that did work for me. Everybody's different, but um, that's how my journey began. You know, I needed to surround myself in that, and I find that to be true today. Um, I find it to be really true that the only way I got out of my rabbit hole was by asking for help, and then people offered a hand, and um, and I was slowly able to pull myself out. I had to do the work though. They they gave me their experience, but um, I had to do the work. And one of the things that I think that I appreciated more than anything was coming up to my first year of sobriety. I kind of thought like after I get the first year, things are just going to ride smooth after that, and it's going to be a cakewalk. And it absolutely was the exact opposite. um, and that's when I really learned to be humble. You know, that's when I really learned um, that really equality within recovery needs to be modeled. Um, and recovery and acceptance in society needs to be modeled. We are all living with our daily struggles, and we need to offer people a little bit of grace and have a little bit of gratitude for the things that um, we're able to succeed through on a daily basis. And remember that we worked hard to get there. So I will leave you with this thought. You know, recovery doesn't have to be a stigma that is just based upon putting down a drink or a drug. It really can be defined by you and designed by you. Like you really can make it your own. And that's what's really beautiful about it is like you can absolutely discover yourself and be content with the person that you look at in the mirror if you're willing to do the work to uncover the things that you don't like and then be willing to fix them. That's all recovery is. It's not easy. I don't want to make it sound easy, right? It's not easy. But that's why I'm offering this support because I don't believe it's something you can do alone. I don't believe it's something you should do alone. I think that's a recipe for disaster. And that's just my opinion. but I also appreciate the friendships that I've gotten from recovery. So, and I hope I can add you guys to that list as well. Thank you again for joining me. I hope to see you back for episode number 2. And thanks for putting up with my illegitimate technology services of Anna. Um, and thanks for being patient with me. I don't care how many times I'm learning how to do this. I just appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully, I was able to offer you something that you can take with you. And if not, come back next time. Maybe then. I love you guys all. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.